Okay, so Stephen, the main issues with this is not blending, because you're doing a really good job with blending, so you can cross blending off on your list of things to improve on. Blending is good. You know how to blend, you know how to do that. Things that you need to improve on are sometimes, Stephen, you have to remember this in art. It's really important for improvement. Sometimes fixing one problem, crossing one problem off your list, means that you can cross the rest off as well. They're all interrelated. Having the right kind of sizes and scaling for the features on the faces that you paint means that you will not only be able to scale everything correctly, but you will have a better understanding of which sizes not only are the size according to how we're looking at them front view, but when you look side view, which are the largest features, which take up the most space, which are highest, which are lowest. And so it's like hills and valleys, basically. So the nose is a really big hill on the face. It's one of the biggest signifiers of shadow. Everything else seems relatively flat, as you might have noticed. Just think Krillin from DBZ. His face is completely flat. He has no nose, and so there's no major shadow across his face caused by the nose, whether the light is on either side of the face or the light is from above or below. So as soon as you start scaling, meaning proportionate, the eyes don't look too far apart, then the mouth isn't too wide. As soon as you start doing that, then you can start focusing on the protrusion of the size, not just the two-dimensional sizes, width and height, but also not width and height, length and width. Well, it doesn't matter. The X and Y axis, but also the Z axis of the measurement. And I'll explain what that means in a second. So one of your biggest problems here was the eyes. They were too widespread, more than usual because they were spread out so far they were entering the other quarters of the face. As you know, the face is divided into 4 quarters. In three-quarter view, we only see 3 quarters. In front view, we see all 4. In side view, we see only 2. And I'll identify those for you in a second. I also talk about this all the time in the videos on YouTube. So this is nothing new that I've only said in this stream. This is all stuff available. If you guys really want to dedicate your time, watch those videos. It's just me repeating myself over and over again, but with like a different image, so you get to see it in action in different images, and that sort of will help also with the improvement. Sorry if I seem out of breath. Okay. And so once I get these proportions scaled to the right sizes, everything is relatively the right size with each other, what will happen, what the next step would be, is to shade according to those scales. So we're not just talking about just the superficial sizes, but actually the width, the actual z-axis of the face. And so this is what I meant by the eyes. The eyes were all the way over here before, and the 3/4 go something like this. You have the symmetry line going across the face, then you have another line here and another line here. Everyone here, just hold your face for a second. Put your hands on your face and have your hands on your ears. Go up all the way into your temples and then try to sort of, as if you're Hannibalizing your forehead, try to cut your forehead, sort of create a just move your fingers across your forehead. You'll see that there's an edge, sort of like a square edge, where you have your 2 temples, and then you have your nose, and then you have your eye sockets. This is 1/4, this is 1/4. The eyes never overlap this temple. You never have eyeballs on the temple. It's just law, because the temple, that's a space where the brain is contained, and it wouldn't make much sense because we're not animals as well. So we don't have, our eyes on either side of our face like a horse would. So some of you have that horse face in your drawing, and what it does, not only takes away a massive amount of points from your anatomy, but it doesn't allow you to contour well. Even if you're good at shading, even if somehow you get away with it, that anime age that you were from is really, really removing a lot from the believability of your drawings. So do not, this is one of your biggest problems in your 14-day challenges already that I've seen from you, Stephen. Do not allow the eyes to overlap the temple line, meaning they only exist in this quarter and this quarter. They do not exist on this side. In anime, as you have been taught, when you draw an eye from the side, you just have that nice eye and then you have the mouth. This eye is it literally looks like this person only has one side. So if you were to see their eyes from front view, it would just be a line because it's so flat looking. This does not happen in real life. This is not how it looks in real life. When you have a nose that is realistic, or a face that is realistic from the side, you'll have the nose, and then you'll have the eyes, and you see the temple is still intact. The second quarter, or this quarter, is still there, and everything here is mushed up into these two quarters. This is very, very important for you to understand, Stephen, because that is one of your biggest problems here. From all the ones that I've seen already of your 14-day challenge, I noticed that that is your biggest problem. Once we get all of those features down and set, what we need to do next is represent the sizes and scales with three-dimensional drawing. So what I meant by z-axis is you've got, basically what you did is you simply think of the eyes in this way. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when you draw, you don't consider the eyes in the z-axis way. So meaning if you had a cube, and I really recommend you guys watch the How to Paint Eyes video, How to Paint a Face. Basically, it's just like this, but like a lot more concentrated and focused, because I seem to be going through these faster. So this is the Y, this is the X-axis. I'm thinking about the Z-axis here. You don't think about the eyes in this way. You don't think about the nose in this way. So what this means, what the Z-axis means, is that if you had a nose and you're drawing the nose, you're not only thinking about how the nose is wide and long, but also how deep it is into the face, or how outward it is. I need you to start thinking like that about the features from now on. Observe the three-dimensional aspect of the two-dimensional drawing. It's very important that you guys do that. Remember that what we are doing is representing three-dimensionality, or three-dimensionality, if that's the word, on a 2D, in a 2D way. Basically, this whole paper is two-dimensional, even more two-dimensional than traditional, because it's digital now. It's just a projection translation of what we see in traditional art, even more two-dimensional. So remember to observe that rule. Okay, so what I'm doing now is again thinking about the hills and valleys of the face, which areas are protruding. So if you're lost, put your hands on your face and test it. Which are the areas that are sticking out? Get a ruler and place it on top of your eye. What does the ruler touch, and what does the ruler not touch? The ruler touches your forehead. It touches your cheekbone and a little bit of your eyelashes as well, which means the eyes are really pushed into the eye socket to be protected by the skeleton. So there's a function behind all of these rules. Excuse me. So what I'm doing now is you have the dark spots kind of good. You have your dark upper lip in replacement of the two corners, though I still recommend you use both. Generally speaking, there's too much contrast as well. You're using two dark darks and two lights, and what you need to do is vary, and you don't need to have that big a transition between the white and the gray. You can literally make a face that is readable, that can read with just 2 or 3 shade difference. But here you have like a difference between light gray, white gray, and dark gray. So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to bring these shades down a little bit, bring everything down on this sort of very, very similar scale level. Because at the end of the day, like I told you, the dark spots do all of the work for you. You just have to make sure nothing goes as dark as they do on the face, because they are like crevices or biological darkness, like for instance the eyeball. So what I'm going to do is I grade it down, I change the shades, and after I do the dark spots, I'm going to show you the before and after, just so that you can see the difference already caused by these. That's too dark. Let me just take it there. So I'm using a soft brush. It really helps me finish these critiques faster. I don't like painting with soft brush as much as I like painting with texture. So in the end, I don't even like how it looks, me personally, but I hope it just translates well into the critique. Okay, so 2 dark spots for the nose. And I recommend watch the How to Paint Noses video, because what you will start doing is you'll start following all those realistic rules. And then I'll put the 2 dark spots on either side of the lip, and you'll observe how much it already reads just with those little rules observed. Okay, Stephen, you're with me? Make sure you don't have a really sharp edge around the lips. It makes the lips look really fake and artificial. You want a realistic, convincing look. Okay. And then the next the next thing after I put, okay, let me just do the 14-day, before and after. Before, do you see how widespread the eyes are? Do you see the contrast difference? Way too much contrast. The upper, there's like really, really light areas as if she had a milk mustache, an actual milk mustache. And then after. We're still working the same way. Your blending is still good. Have I changed your blending? No, I'm just telling you that there are specific scales that you need to follow, number one. You have to make sure you stay away from the two farthest corners or the two farthest quarters of the face, the ones wherein the temple and the ears are situated. You need to start observing the z-axis behind behind all the features, so which areas protrude and which areas don't. And I'll show you how to do that. The main shadows that you need are usually around the dark spots. That's the biggest clue I can give you. Or that's the best way for you to remember. The dark spots signify where there is great shadow. So for the nose, as you know already, points downward. It doesn't point upward, not like a pig's, where you have the nostrils right directly looking down. The nostrils on a human's face point down. If a laser came out of both nostril holes, it would be pointing downward. So for this human's face, what you need to start doing is not only point the nostrils downward, but there should be a shadow there, because technically speaking, the nose sticks out. If a light comes from above, then the nose shadow will be cast this way. This is one big umbra, I believe. It's a shadow. Something like a cast shadow. So what you are not really focusing on, what your next big problem that I need you to write down, you should be writing these down, Stephen, is that you don't establish a specific light source. You're working with like 4 of your visual library light sources all bundled together in one drawing. That is really, really bad. You have to make sure that you're copying real life. You're trying to draw a realistic face. You're trying to perfect your style. So what you have to do is think the way it is in real life. Where else would you go to observe something realistically other than real life? And in real life, there's usually one primary light source and then a couple of secondary or tertiary light sources. So if there's a massive light, so like a studio light, and you have 4 major floodlights on your face, or modeling or something, then it's different. You're not going to have cast shadows. And that's what they try to avoid. They don't want cast shadows and model in like editorial photographs. But we're not editorial, we're not pinup, whatever. If some are pinup, you'll know how to do it later on. But basically what I want you to do is perfect this one light source style. And the 14-day challenge rule is, and I didn't write it down, I'm sorry, is that the light source has to shine down. Not directly above the head, but a little bit like a 45-degree angle. So if the face is pointing this way, the light is shining in this way. Therefore, you're showing and exemplifying your understanding of cast shadows, and I need you to do that. So the first cast shadow would, of course, be off the nose, because the nose is the farthest protruding object. I'm really sorry, one second. Sorry, guys. Okay, so next thing, I'm going to try to take a little bit of time on Stevens. Maybe you guys also who are doing the 14-day challenge can also benefit from these. Yeah, I'm a bit sick. I'm sorry, guys. Because Stevens hasn't had a critique already, and he's already on, I don't know, day 7. So I want to take a bit of time to make sure I steer him back on track. And if I'm not available to do a critique, please ask someone else. It's not just about how everyone here is a reference point for you. Everyone here has eyes, and everyone here sees the way things look in real life, so they'll know automatically through instinct. If it looks a bit off, they'll let you know, and then you can just translate that into our discourse here and know how to fix it. Sometimes they'll say, oh, the nose looks wrong. Maybe something's wrong with the shading there. Maybe your light source isn't established well. Also the neck, get a good reference on how to shade a neck. The neck here looks a bit flat as well. It is also like a cylindrical formation, so you need to show the shading on that cylindrical formation. What I'm going to try to do is get a 3D modeler. Maybe one of the students is really good with 3D modeling. Have them sort of make me videos I'll see if I can pay them if I can afford it. Videos on like a cube and the way the cube is rotating. Maybe a simple formation of a body part, or like the whole body, so that I can always have it or open it on Maya and just rotate it for you guys so you guys can see it, or a video of the rotation process so you guys can see what I mean when I say cast shadows and stuff like that, which will be really nice. Okay, so what I'm doing now is shading as if the ball is one big clay piece and it's just one big clay ball. Where would the shadows be on the sphere if the light was coming from above? So there definitely would be shadow on either side of the face and the two temples that I told you about earlier. There definitely would be shadows in these two. Imagine getting a piece of clay and getting your thumbs and sticking your thumbs in that piece of clay. You're going to form the socket bone, or the sockets in the bone, the eye sockets. Those areas are going to automatically shine the light from above. Those areas are automatically going to have shadows in them. That's really, really important. Remember that the eye socket is one big shadowy area in this light source situation. Okay, so the next thing that I teach are the light spots. The light spots are equivalent to the dark spots because they reflect the light shining on the face. And where I usually put them is the cheekbones, the milk mustache, because the lip protrudes. The lips protrude out. And I call it a milk mustache, but don't actually make it as apparent as a milk mustache is, because that defeats the purpose. It'll be like fish lip instead of actual just normal contours. The nose, just like it casts the largest shadow. This is the rule. Write it down. Everyone write it down, especially you, Richard. I mean, not Richard, Stephen. Yes, sorry, Richard, Stephen. Okay, anyways. Because there is such a large cast shadow, what does that say to you guys? It's a big clue. When there's a large cast shadow, imagine a building setting in the middle of, like a building, and there's a massive cast shadow. It means that the light source, number one, is in the perfect angle to cast that shadow long, and it means that there is a side of that building that is getting all the light, that there is no interruption on that side of that building, meaning there's nothing in front of it, there's no clouds, there's no interruption of any sort, there's no fog. It's just the shadow cast by the light. So that's proof that there is light. So just as much as we cast a shadow here, we have to bring in the light spot and place it on the nose. The nose should be the lightest spot of the face, always, because it is the biggest mountain, therefore catching the most light, because it's casting the largest shadow. It's all connected, as I have said earlier. Okay, so all those unnecessary shadows you had around the nose, you didn't need those to make a nose that reads. You just need the light spot and the dark spot and the two nostril spots. That's it. Let me show it to you again. Dark spots, dark shadow cast, and then light spot. Do you see how that reads as a nose? And if you want, enhance it. Get a little bit of shadows here and here and here. And look at that nose. Is everyone seeing that? It's not common, it's not science, it's just common knowledge. Two shadows, the basic shadow cast, the light casting that shadow, and a couple of accents here and there, just to help the eyes read a nose a little bit better. Let me just read what you guys are saying. Don't you call my nose a mountain. I'm not surprised. Okay, so do you guys see this little miracle of shadow and light here to make a nose? It can read with all those without all those unnecessary shadows and grooves and contours you had before. Like, let me show you how they looked before. You had all these unnecessary shadows all over the place. You're trying to make the nose look convincing. Do you see all these shadows here? You're like, maybe I should leave this here. Maybe I should leave it there. It just looked like her nose was really compressed in her face. Really pushed in. As if, when you have dolls and it's like a Barbie and the face is really compressible and you push it down and like the nose gets stuck inside? If it's like plasticky, that's what it looked like. Because you cast a shadow making it seem like this was one big valley. So instead what we do, I'm just going to leave these here for you so you can practice them. So here what we do is just place the shadows only in the areas that need it so that it can read better. Okay, you also have these unnecessary shadows on the inside of the eye, or the inner corners of the eye. You don't need those either. You also need some light on the brow bone up here and up here. Even the eyebrow will be lit in that lighting situation. Okay. Don't paint thin eyebrows. You are an artist. You have the capability of creating convincing and distinguished looking characters. Don't paint something where, be careful, that, you can give, with more information, the more appealing. Information meaning content. So give us an eyebrow or two. Eyebrows are really, really powerful for expressing personality and expression in the painting. So the larger the eyebrow, look, see how much different she looks? And that's just through her eyebrows. Just by thickening up her eyebrows. She seemed a bit without much expression when it came to her eyebrows. And a little clue to that, as you guys might have seen in paintings, Queen Elizabeth used to blot out her eyebrows. She used to blot out her eyelashes with white powder. And what that did, and she used to wear massive headgear, massive dress, what that did was make her look larger than life, made her look unemotional and unexpressive. Where in a time where women used to just keep their eyebrows very large, and it's very, very hairy looking if you guys look back at those paintings. And so to keep her distinguished and sort of manly, she blotted out her eyebrows completely. Yeah, I hate her too. But just think of it like that. The less eyebrows you have, the less expression. So that is an effective tool, especially if you're character designing. But for this, I want to see that you can paint it. The upper eyelid will get some light, just reflecting light here and there. And there's a rule. Sometimes a mountain can cast a less light than a river can cast or reflect light. Meaning there's a difference between exposure to light and reflectivity. The upper eyelids are usually very, very oily. And so what they do, they reflect light. Usually at the same amount, sometimes a little bit less than the nose would, even to that extent. I'm going to throw some light here. Remember that the cornea of the eye is white. It is no other color. Sometimes it's not white, of course. It's like a yellowy white, sometimes bluish white. Try not to make the pupil too large, or the iris too large. I don't know which one is which, honestly. I've been debating that since I started 3 years ago. Like, which one is which? I keep forgetting. Even if I looked it up 3-4 times. The inner part is the pupil, I believe, and the outer part is the iris, if I'm not mistaken. So now what I'm doing is placing some shadows here to represent the thickness of the lashes. You don't need to paint every single lash to make a lash read, or to make it read as if there's lashes. You don't have to do that. All you have to do is a well-placed, strategically placed shadow will make the eye read that and finish the rest. Think painterly paintings. Have you ever seen, Andre Wallen or Leventep's paintings where from far away it looks like a photograph, and then from close up it's just, what the heck is this mess? It's like, how did they do that? How did they make that read? And that's because they placed it strategically and they zoomed out. Iris is the color part, pupil is the inner black part. Okay, keep that in mind. So strategically place all of these shadows, and you won't have to do too much rendering. Don't depend on details to complete your image for you. It should be completed whether or not you use details. Details are an extra additive effect. Added effect. English is not my first language. Even though I'm supposedly an English major. Supposedly. The dark spot of the lip represents an area where the lip and the bottom lip, the upper lip and the bottom lip, meet. And what they create is one big bundle of fat, and it's like a contour. Very, very, it's like a crevice or a cave, a very small cave. Because the mouth, if you just think about it, it's just one big hole in the face. And when the lips close, that hole, it's still there. It's still proving itself there. So as the painter, you have to prove that. Some of you draw paintings that looks like the mouth will never open, as if it's a sculpture or something. There are good sculptures out there too, so no discrimination. So yes, upper lip is a bit darker than the bottom lip because of shadows. And depending on the kind of fat distributed on the lips, sometimes the bottom lip will reflect light back upward. We have the shadow of the nose. The eyes still seem a bit representational, not representational, symbolic. Some of you paint eyes like this, or like the anime way, and then try to render around it. That is never going to work. Anime is your evil, is your arch enemy if you're trying to do realism, okay? Usually the first critique for 14-day challenge I do is the longest. I will get to everyone else, but I will have to go through them quickly. Because everything that I've said here, I'm most likely going to say on your critique as well. Whoever is next. So the forehead is one big reflective surface. And remember, I told you about that edge of the temples, Stephen. That edge starts off at the sort of near your eyebrows. And so there's only going to be one specific area of your entire head or forehead that is reflecting that light, depending on the oil there and stuff. Because remember, this T-zone is really oily, so it can create a reflective look. Okay, so I'm just going to leave you with these. I'm going to sharpen it up because this stupid soft brush. She does have a bit of a massive sort of under, because remember how as much as we paint the upper lid, we paint the bottom lid. And so the bottom lid needs to be painted just like there's a light and dark variation. That needs to be there. Also, don't forget the waterline. It really helps convince the audience and helps them read that this eye is real versus fake. And the shadow of the upper eyelid on the rest of the eye. The upper eyelid casts a shadow. Don't forget that really, really tiny little detail. And it's these tiny little details that take you from intermediate to advanced or beginner to intermediate, depending on where you are and what level of detail you're applying or rendering you're applying. Also, the light under the eyebrow is a nice glamour addition. If you guys study makeup and you do makeup, or you're a girl here or a guy, whatever floats your boat, you'll know that there is a whole makeup line of whatever dedicated to the light under the eyebrow. It's called a highlighter color. And in makeup, girls put it under their eyebrow to make it seem like their eyebrow is larger or more defined, or their brow bone is larger. A large skeletal system for the eye is always beautiful. In this day and age, at least. I don't know about the next 500 years. Okay, I'm just trying to give you a little bit more detail to help take it a couple steps further, but that seems like it's pretty much it. Dark spots are intact. Surrounding secondary light dark spots are around. This is really makeup-y, what I've done here. And if you don't want to do makeup, don't depend on the eyeliner to do the rest of the face for you. Simply just lighten up that upper eyelid, because it looks like she's wearing eyeliner. Just like this. You don't have to add that big dark eyeliner or outline over there. You can do the rest without it, as you can see there. Remember, eyes don't have to be perfectly symmetrical. They never are. And to make a character believable, give them a little bit of asymmetry. Not so much it looks Uncanny Valley kind, or Elephant Man type. Why do I keep making fun of that poor guy? Okay, and this area doesn't have to be that dark either. Just remember the necessary darks and how they read. Alright, I'm going to save that. I'm going to show you the before and after so you can take a look at the difference. Think about that nose thing I told you here. It's all about how to cast shadows, and then you'll see. Bless you. Do you see how before and after the eyes were widespread? You had a good principle for how to make an eye look beautiful, but you just didn't know how to present it. Presentation is the key. The eyebrows are very, very unemotional and expressive. It's like she had Botox on. You know how the effect of people's face when they have Botox? It just does not, the eyebrow does not move. Then you had the nose a bit compressed in, the lips a bit too wide. I pushed everything back together with Liquify. Actually, this is history stats are gone, but after that, I brought the contrast down. I established the dark spots, cast the necessary shadows, and just made put everything back in place. This should be your 14-day. Of course, changed because you have your own way of painting, you have your own way of delivering, but you should essentially have the principal shadows, the principal contours, the hills and valleys that are necessary in presenting a realistic face. Remember, there are rules no matter what kind of face you have that occur in real life. These rules have to be followed, whether you're painting a Caucasian person or an Asian person, someone from South America, North America, whatever. Make sure you follow these rules because this is what happens in real life. A nose casts a shadow. Okay? And don't depend on the Liquify tool to do your work for you. Try to get as much accurate without the use of Liquify, because what's going to happen is that when you jump into traditional art or painting traditionally or sketching traditionally, what we will end up getting is that really bad habit. And I need you to understand that flipping the canvas horizontally will help you figure out where the mistakes are. They stick out like a sore thumb. They're already sticking out here. So don't depend on the Liquify tool. Exactly. Do your best to make it good on purpose, not by accident. So you'll spend the right amount of time in there and well, plan the image, and then you'll get there. Okay, so save. And now we'll jump on to this one. This is by Keith, or Kethian. Okay, Kethian, you need to jump into the Liquify tool. The lips that you have now are probably like a kindergartner's lips. Really, really, really small. You can still have the same kind of lip. There's no problem. That happens in real life. But for the function to work properly, or the function to function, the lip has to be the right amount of size depending on the skull, because as you grow older, you need more food, I guess. So your lips grow with you. Everything grows together. And so what you had before was a very, very cute lip. But now that I bring it back to be aligned with sort of the eyeballs, you'll start to see that they make a little bit more sense. And I'll show you how small they were before. Also, before you draw the eye, or as you draw the eye in the first preliminary brush strokes, you need to know where you're putting the pupil. Because if the pupil is wonky all over the place, it's going to look like, yeah, they're focused if they're close together, but they're not focused together at the same object. They just look like they're zoned out in focus, or there's a problem and the eyes can't focus properly. Anyways, this also you suffered from as well, Stephen, what do I call him, Richard? Stephen, when you had this compressed and this sticking out. That's wrong. That is so wrong. Why? Because the eyes don't close like that. The eyes, this part is the bigger part, and this is the part that compresses, like an almond shape. This is the bigger part, and this is the part that compresses away. Do not do it the other way around. That's, again, your anime days, or if it's not anime days, some sort of influence caused you to make that strange shaping. Nose is really, really well done. Did you watch a video on that, Keith? Ket? Did you? Yeah? Very, really well done. Good job. Really, really reads well. With this one, you have a bit of a problem with the contrast. A bit too darks and lights. Contrast is horrible. If you don't know what contrast is and you're sitting there acting like you know what it is, like I used to do, just nod your head and smile. Contrast is this. When the brightness is high and you've got this level variation or something around there. This is contrast. Right here. Just leave that at 0. This is contrast. I don't like that. And what it does is that it removes from the form. You're not depending on the right amount of shadows to do the work for you. And so what I usually do is leave it somewhere here. I'll put it back on 0 and then just correct it. But this is something that you have a little bit of. Do you see how you have a little bit of it, Keith? Yeah, with Bob and Steve. God, I'm never going to shake that off, am I? That's gonna stay with me for the rest of my life. Should have named it something else. So what I'm gonna do is get a gray tone and then just rush it over all of the light spots. Get a lighter gray tone and rush it over the dark areas here. Because remember, if you have watched the other videos, you know how crucial having the dark spots be the darkest spots. Because they will do the work for you. You just have to trust them. They will express the right amount of darkness. And if you don't do that, what's going to happen is you're always going to paint someone who looks like there's mud smeared all over their face. Your valley is always going to be dark, and when you go into color mode and color them from grayscale, they're going to look muddy. Muddy is a cause of values that are too dark. So I'm just going to introduce that shadow here of the upper eyelid. Don't make the eyeball gray. Remember, the cornea is white or whitish. You need that, or else they're going to look like they're on morphine. Okay, the lights there. Upper eyelid, lower eyelid. And now that I got those out of the way, what I'm going to do is realign this eyebrow back with the temple. The temple sort of, the eyebrow grows, and then it grows around the groove of the temple. I think the phone is going to ring because the speaker is like glitching. The speaker is glitching. I think the phone is going to ring. Sorry. Just turn it off. Okay. And then I'm going to get these contrasty shadows down a little bit. It wouldn't be this dark unless they used, let me show you what I mean. It wouldn't be this dark unless they used like an actual mud and put it under their eyebrow. Bad contour makeup. Let me show you if I can find something like that. Okay, there's a lot of sad people on this. Okay, this. You see all this darkness here? She wouldn't have had that if she didn't apply all of that shadow in there. I'm sure you guys know who this person is. This is really bad contouring, because what it's doing is making the illusion that the nose literally has an edge, that it literally has a 90-degree angle on it from this side going down into the rest of the face. And this shadow that leads to it from the eyebrow, do not depend on that to make the nose look realistic. What that's going to do is going to make it even less realistic, because it's going to make it seem like the face has contours that it doesn't have. Just trust the dark spots. They will make the eyes look realistic. Just make everything the right amount. Not the entire part of the nose isn't going to be lit. It's not going to be one long line of light like this. That's not how it works. It's just going to be the highest point, like the peak of the mountain, plus the snow on the mountain, which is the sweat or the oil on the nose. That's it. That's what's going to be the lightest spot. Okay? And these dark spots that you have here, these dark shades on either side of the nose, they aren't necessary. The bridge of the nose is overdone in art. You don't need it that much. It's not that light. Just depending on the light source, if the person's face is wet, if it's oily, only those. Remember, subtlety. Keep it subtle. Don't overdo it. I know you know the rule. I know you want to show it off, but don't overdo it. Then the rule is just going to backfire on you. So same things that I said with Stevens. Shade the temple, shade that side of the face here and there, not too dark of course. What that will do is it will convince me that there are subtle and soft edges to the face, not sharp ones. The shadow of the nose has to exit from the edge of the nose. It doesn't start anywhere else. If you have a mountain and it's casting a shadow, the shadow is going to start at the bottom of the base of the mountain. It's not going to start 2 miles off, because the shadow belongs to the object casting the shadow. So this area here needs to start from the edge of the nose downward. Over here and over here, those gentle little accents like I talked about. The nose tip here. The Cupid's bow can be illuminated with a couple of little strokes here and there. And now you have the same exact face you drew. Nothing has changed. It's just that now it's a little bit more focused, more realistic. So reestablishing your dark spots here and there. All the necessary dark spots. You need those to help create the contour, the value, the tone, the scale, and the form. And if you want to do the makeup thing, which I recommend you do if you're ever at a loss for glamour or you have to create something exceptionally beautiful like a forest goddess or whatever you get commissioned for, or whatever you want to paint personally. Those little makeup accessories, I call them, they really help take the glamour, that stuff further. Bottom lid and top lid shaded equally. They are one big ball with I don't know how to describe it. Imagine a ball with a Robin Hood costume. No. I don't know. I describe it better in the How to Paint Eyes video. Don't trust me now. I'm just babbling. Go to the other time where I was less confused. I was on painkiller. Okay. The shadow you have under the chin. Kudos for that. A lot of people forget this. Under the lip, I mean. But again, please don't overdo it. Because what's going to happen is that it's going to look like that whole area is just pushed in. Imagine that thumb on that piece of clay. It's just a small area. It's just a really, really small, minute area that's casting that shadow. It's not that big. Now she looks like that Helen actress from Troy. You know, the one who acts as Helen? She looks like her now. See? Look. The speaker's doing that noise. Maybe it's the neighbors, yeah. Okay, just placing them in the right spot. Maybe she has a bit sharp cheekbones. Subtlety, just subtlety. Let me show you what subtlety means. It means from this to this. A couple strokes show how sharp her cheekbones are. Like she got cheekbone implants or whatever. Before, after. Subtle strokes make the biggest difference. Okay, I recommend finding some pupil references for yourself, because your pupils seem to be a little bit sort of out of measurement, out of focus. And then, of course, the eye light here and there, depending on where the light source is coming from. She seems to have too much light in her eyes now, but it's Hollywood lighting. Okay, I'm going to darken the other lights you had. They were a bit fake. Fake meaning they looked anime. Sometimes in anime you'll have the eyeball, have the upper lid, quote, just put a quote over everything I'm saying. You have the upper lid, bottom lid, lashes, and then you have the iris, pupil, and then you have a bunch of unnecessary lights all over the place. Motion, no emotion. If there's no emotion, they just have no lights. Do not duplicate these in real life, because it's just about where the light source is. If the light source is coming from above, then it means the bottom part of her eye is getting the light. So meaning that the only light you really need is that bottom piece right there, because the light is shining this way. Okay, so do you see how effective that is? I'm just going to get the sharpen tool. And the lips need a bit more reflectiveness to them. If she's wearing lip gloss, you need I'll do this later on as you advance in the 14-day challenge, but you need to make an effort now, from now on, Keith or Ket or whatever, to give the lips more texture. Lips aren't that smooth because they talk and they move, so they need a lot of extra muscle, and when they're not in use, that extra muscle is compressed. Because when you smile, imagine you didn't have all that extra skin on your lip. When you smile, you won't be able to smile. Just like that extra skin on your knuckles and your joints, your finger joints. If you didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to bend your finger. One point, my sister, when we were young, girls are so funny. She was like, "Ugh, this part makes my hand look ugly. I think I'll cut it off with some surgery." And I was like, "Yeah, that part of the hand is pretty ugly. Let's cut it off when we grow up." And then later I learned why it's there and how everything is there for a reason. Did anyone else do that? Or was it just me and my sister? I think it was just us. Okay, so what I did was I brought a little bit of light on either side of the lip to help sort of make the lips look a bit more cute. Yeah, it's just us. We're just weird. Okay, on the top part as well. You see what it does? Sort of like a blending to make the lips look a little bit more cute. Not actually erasing that part of the lip, just creating a gradual tone, softening up the edges of the lips. They are not actual edges. And now she looks a bit more cutesy, like you originally intended with that design. Just going to reestablish the dark spots now. Serve the purpose. And there you go. Finito. C'est fini. Super. Okay, so let's look at the before and after. Before. Do you see the contrast? Do you see the unnecessary lights on the eyes? Yes, I usually send them back. I always send them back, Steven. That's why I ask you guys to write your names on them and add me on Skype. This is the before. You have excessive contrast. You have the two edges of the face, which is really good. The two further corners, quarters. But you have these unnecessary lights on the eyes. You have extra contrast. The shadow of the nose isn't very trailing very well. It is a really good progression, especially for day 2. The lips are too small, and then after we just pushed everything back, and we're sort of getting the more realistic equivalent, less contrast. Okay. Maybe this dark spot here is a bit too not dark. All right. Sorry for the soft brush, it's really lacking in texture. Okay, so I'll send that back to you. Day 3, Julia, someone who's been waiting for a while. Keith, I already did one, so I'm not going to do 2 for you. Irish needs the next one. Okay, so Irish, last time what you had was, first of all, this is way, way, way too dark. Lighten up a little bit, okay? And I'm only going to do a couple of corrections for you because where you're at right now is really good with these corrections. Push the eye back. Good job on crossing the eyes and making them look more focused. Good job on that. Make the nose a little bit wider. You seem to be into that pixie face. Very specific kind of face, Irish. And sometimes we like the certain kind of face and we create the signifiers of that kind of face. Small nose, big eyes, small lips, cute, general cuteness. But what happens is that you overdo it because you like those features so much. You're like, maybe a little bit more salt. Just a little bit more salt. Eventually you're going to get a really salty meal. Yes, weird analogy, but ask my husband. I make salty food too much. Because I like the way salt tastes, or a specific spice, or whatever spice I'm using for dinner, and then I overuse it because I'm like, I'm not trusting the small amount, the subtle amount that I've already put in there. And you have to trust the subtlety behind your actions and your art. Really trust the subtlety. I can't express that enough. And those who are already advancing will go far with this small piece of advice. Trust the subtlety of your work. You don't have to overdo it. Another thing is that the pupil is massive. And I know this is a cute anime style, and I know that's what you want to do. And I really don't want to crush that, and I guess I'm not going to change that. I know it's a first, but I'm just not going to change that about your work. What I am going to do is try to find ways for you to perfect this specific style. And maybe later on in your run down into a realistic world, maybe you'll try shrinking that. But for now, since you're already done such a big difference between your day 1 and your day 2, I don't want to corrupt that. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm really afraid that this 14-day challenge, for those who are so eager in starting it, that it might crush your already progressing style. None of you have a style yet. It'll be on later on in your career, but you are already like at the 1% or 0.2%. I don't want to crush that 0.2% of style you're developing. So if this is what you like to do and this is what you'll be known for, find a way to perfect it and throw away some stuff. Keep the necessary stuff. Okay, so you have these dark spots. So let's get into the darker zone here. Let's get a dark shade and place it in the darkest areas. I ate too much pizza. Okay, so dark spot here, dark spot here. So this only goes for Irish. None of you else can do this. If anyone else tries to make eyes, you guys are going to get in trouble. So don't do it. Only Irish can. And Irish is a very specific case here for me. Okay? And then the next thing, Irish, what I need you to do is establish that shade. So I'm just going to lay a little place here. The dark spot of the nostrils. As for the nostrils and lips, Irish, you have to follow the rules for those. You have to follow the way we did them. Meaning shadow, light. And you already have some of that already, so it's really good. You watch the videos, yes? Really massive improvement from day one, honestly. Very, very good job. Pat on the back. Imagine a ghostly pat on your back right now. Applause for my husband as well. That effort really shows, you guys. Trust me, there won't be a single tutorial you watch on YouTube, a single moment you take to practice, a single day you pick up your sketchbook that doesn't give you back what you put into it. I swear to God, every little hour or minute you spend into developing your art and developing your craft will pay off. So what was this, like an hour or two for you? And you've already progressed probably like 4 months worth of practice on your own. Remember that rule about the shadow as well from the nose? Okay, little piece here. Really proud of all of you guys. I'm seeing such amazing improvement. Dark spots here and there. Lips. But Irish, you see how you like to do this really, really big iris? Keep that, but follow all the other rules on how to draw eyes. Watch how to draw eyes again, and see if you do it again with the iris. See if you even still want that. Try the small iris, and then go back to it, and then see what you would like and don't like. It's called an exchange. Exchange some stuff that you don't want for stuff that might benefit your style, but keep the stuff that keeps your style, quote, quote, intact. And so this thing that I put here, this is the shadow. Okay, and you need that shadow. The bigger the eye, the bigger the lashes, meaning the bigger shadow of the eyelashes or the upper eyelid on the rest of the face. You have everything else very, very well done. Also, to make the eyes a bit more convincing, try to bring in that rim, that dark rim that encompasses eyes. And if you add that, you get extra cuteness points because it'll make the eye look even bigger. Irish, are you a man or a boy? I mean, are you a girl or a boy? I'm sorry, I'm sure you're a man. or I'm sure you're older than what I'm sure you're mature. I'm just curious. Sometimes I'm curious behind the gender of the artist. I tend to guess the gender very well. Sometimes I'm wrong. All men, okay. So yes, you have a very, very unique style. And what you need to do is shrink that down, give us some upper eyelid. Remember, follow the rules still. Don't throw away the rules. Upper eyelid, lower eyelid. You still need those. You can keep the eyeball big or the iris big, but you still need those. However, the eyeball cannot be this big. Do you see what I'm doing here? I'm bringing all the sizes back to shape. And as soon as I did that, you see how before, after, small subtle difference, but what it's done is it made it look even more realistic. And what you're missing in this case is an eyebrow. And eyebrows will really take the face to that next dimension. Really depending on how you want to draw it. And then you saw today, you were here with us as I critiqued Richard's and Stevens, I'm so sorry. And you saw that the third and fourth quarters, or the two farthest quarters of the face, need to be intact. They cannot have any of the eyeball on it, and a little bit of the eyebrow though. not too much or else it'll make it look droopy. Sorry, Stephen. Okay, push those cheekbones back inside the 2 inner quarters of the face. Write that down. 2 inner quarters of the face. Everything should be in there. The face exists in there. Milk mustache, light spots we're doing right now. Forehead. Only the front, lower half of the forehead really gets the light like this. Try to accent them here before blending so you can see, and the chin. And now I'm just going to blend them. So, Spark Out, how's married life? As exciting as Disney made it? It's not, huh? We got married on the same day. Not on the same day, I wish. On the same year. So I was married in May and Spark Out was in October. If you don't mind me saying that is, I'm so sorry. Forget everything I said, you guys. Yeah. Oh, okay. And then you need those eye lights. Still follow the rules. You don't have to break the rules with those. Okay, really just depending on where the light source comes from. And I'm going to leave it at this for you. I want you to get this. I want you to get to here, and then I'll push further. Okay? Soldier freedom. More like gained it, really. Okay, so I'll save that and send it back to you. Who else is next? Julia has been waiting a while. Julia. Really, really good facial structure. Really, really beautiful. But do you see that square thing I was talking about? The symbolic eye? Julia, you're doing the symbolic eye. I'm going to put the shame cap on you. The anime eye. Because what happens when you do that, it looks good. It looks good, but that's it. It doesn't look realistic, and it decreases your audience. Decreases the amount of the ways you can apply it. It's not really... It's not really... No, what's the word? What the fuck happened here? I think my touch is on. Touch off. What's that word that you use for things that can't be used very good? Oh no, my tablet is starting to latch. Fuck you, tablet. So I'm just trying to... Things that that can be used very good. Oh, versatility? No, not worthless. It's nice, it looks good, but that's it. You can't use it everywhere. That's what I'm trying to say. The nose is really, really well done. Just need a little bit of differentiating shades here and there to keep it looking realistic, but you need to push it back up. The lips are really, really well done as well. These lips exist in real life, nothing wrong with them. But it was just the eyes. Make sure you've learned that today, Julia. You were here, so next time I see this mistake, you don't have an excuse. You learned about the 2 farthest quarters of the face, how the nose and everything shouldn't be, or the eyes shouldn't be protruding there. And you see this light that you put here, Julia? This light that you put here isn't supposed to be here. It's in the high point, and the high point is right under the arc. Right over here, not all the way over here. What's over here is shadow because this is still socket. Up here and onward is edge or is contour. Okay? I'm really starting to see your styles emerge. I love that very much, or your habits. And again with the nose shadow, make sure that it just... This nose shadow makes it seem like the nose is coming out of a really big nose. The shadow is coming out of a really big nose. What you need to do is push that shadow down to represent the cuteness and smallness of the nose. It's not that long cast a shadow, if that makes sense. And then you need the Cupid's bow to prove the lips and the nose are in the same face. The connective factor. And push everything back inside the 2 main quarters of the face, which are the 2 inner quarters. I really can't explain that enough to you guys. Don't forget about the separation between the 2 outer quarters and the 2 inner quarters of the face. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Okay. And you need the ears. So let me get back into Liquify. Let me zoom out. Actually, I hate zooming in. Wait, zoom out all the time, you guys. You don't want to get yourself unnecessary mistakes. You could have avoided if you just zoomed out. So the face needs to be a little bit more sculpted. And as soon as I sculpt the temple and get everything ready, I'm just going to throw in the ears. Remember, the way to determine the thickness of the neck is by determining the thickness of the jawline. The neck responds to the jawline. Animals with really big jaws in nature observe like a hyena. Massive, massive jaw. Most powerful jaw, supposedly, in nature. And look at the neck size on that animal. You need that neck size to stabilize and support that level of jaw power. So on humans, it's the same exact thing. Depending on the jaw, masculine faces have massive jaws, therefore have larger necks. Exactly. The outer jaw can get a little bit of light as well. A little bit of light here and there. And then, of course, the ears. Don't forget the ears. Really important to keeping the face looking like it's sort of a face. When you miss one unit of the face structure, you don't have to detail the ears. I'm not really focusing on ears right now lately. I don't know why. I guess I don't like ears. But just throw in something that signifies the ears are there, functioning as well with the face. Have you guys noticed? I don't even care about ears. I know. I gotta change that. I'm sorry. I'm really just worried. I know ears are really easy to develop, to learn. The face, I sort of focus on that more because people just need that all the time. There's always a problem with the face, way before there was a problem with the ears. Sometimes the ears, they draw them too big and I talk about them. So I don't really ignore them, but I don't spend that much time on the ears. Okay, Julia, so do you see how everything now is just presented well? We put the arc of the eyebrows back in place. You are depending way too much on that eyeliner. Way too much. You need to tone it down a little bit. Maybe bring in a gray. Because that is your anime talking. We are all schizophrenic with our anime self. We do it, and then 5 minutes later we're like, why did I make this choice? And that was just your anime days talking. Taking over your psyche. Yay, my psychology class came in use. I know it's how to speak like a psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever. Paid $3,000 for that. Don't take school, by the way, you guys. Forget school. School's good if you're training on something that you need training on, like for instance Maya or 3ds Max or modeling or medicine, or that's pretty much the only use for school. But as for art, I was talking about this earlier with a student. As for art, you are literally paying to practice and spend time you could have been spending at home. And a powerful profile, a powerful portfolio works just as effectively as a resume that's filled with what you studied in school. So if you have the choice, and if you are in school, okay, it's fine. I'm not debunking your school days or your school effort, but realize that they're not teaching you stuff that you could be learning on your own. That you won't necessarily have improved with the way you draw a face or the way you draw a hand. And I've heard it before many times where they don't care if you improve or not. They just want their money. They force you to take electives you don't need, to take stupid humanitarian classes or humanities classes you don't need. Take it from me. I swear I have been on that boat and I have drowned with everyone else in it. Be careful of school. Especially in this age. Maybe a long time ago, our parents forcing us to go take school and take college and do whatever. And that was from their time when it was so easy to get hired, to build your own, to become the business leaders of today. But as for now, the competition is unbelievable. So I know school is necessary to beat that competition. I know the daunting, aspect of not having a powerful enough resume. But if you're self-taught to a point where you never needed school And if you're applying for something that doesn't need school, for instance, like the main card artist for Magic the Gathering or whatever comes out in the future, you don't need school to prove to them that you can draw a face. You just need your portfolio. So if spending that time to perfect your portfolio is going to do more for you than spending $4,000 and 8 hours a week on a class that you'll never need, I mean, the choice is yours. I never took any art courses. I never took any art classes. And here I am teaching it. And that's because I let myself learn my own way so I can teach it my own way. And again, I'm not saying people who took school are bad or anything like that. It's just everyone finds their own route, and this is just what my piece of advice regarding that. Sorry, I'm not reading you guys' messages. I'll read them in a second. So evening out the shadows, trying to get the nose or the body sort of match. I want you to copy the way I have made the neck here, because I'm painting it as if it is cylindrical. I'm painting it as if there is a, you know, flesh and bone underneath this. I think you guys are just talking about pen nibs and stuff. I don't think they even... Do they hear me? Am I muted? No. Okay. Sorry. Constant fear of that. Alright, and so save. Let's show you the before and after. Okay, so before, still the same face, but do you see that the square eye, Julia? You see that, like, sort of not square, rectangular eye shape, as if the eyeball is not an eyeball, it's an eye rectangle. Do you see how it's wrapping around as if there's actual edges? What I did was I circulified it. Okay? Yeah, take school, you guys. I'm joking. Circulified it, whatever. Sphericized, whatever. To make it seem like there is a ball underneath there. Like that. It's very, very basic, but I just pushed everything back together, gave it some ears, and made the face a little bit more, sort of pushed it that realistic distance. Okay? Yeah, supposedly. English major. Okay, now it's Being's turn. I just need a water break. I'll be right back. Where's my water boy? Okay, sorry. Yeah, English majors tend to make words up. Okay, so now on to liquefy again. The eyes are well drawn, but I'm still seeing a bit of trouble keeping the eye spherical, not elongated, not oval, just spherical. The nose is well structured, I must admit. Lips are also well done. There are faces that look like this, but I want you to develop, not that this face isn't beautiful, but I want you to develop the typical beautiful face so that you can put it on your resume. You know, this is all about your resume, you guys, or your portfolio. It's just about, you know, can this person paint a pretty face? Okay, we're going to hire you to paint the healing goddess. Here's $10,000 or here's $1,000. I mean, this is what it means when you're improving your portfolio, that you can show them that you can draw the beautiful face versus, you know, anyone can fluke a beautiful face, anyone can fluke a quote-unquote ugly face, but it's good to master the beautiful face and produce it whenever you need it. And then when you need to draw an ugly face, if you know the rules to make a beautiful face, you know the rules automatically to make an ugly face, because all you have to do is break the rules. Big nose, small eyes, big lips. And if you accidentally what? Yeah. Well, yeah. Learn how to draw a beautiful person. What Not's trying to say is what I say: learn how to draw a beautiful person, and then when you draw enough of that beautiful person, start breaking some of those rules and stop making them so beautiful. Start drawing someone with a bit more intrigue. But for now, what I'm trying to say is I just want you guys to know how to draw the typical beautiful face. So that means all the measurements are very, very intact, proportionate. One of the keys of drawing beauty is this eyebrow arc. It really is like the biggest difference for the face. If you add that eyebrow arc in there and make the eyes not look, eyebrows a bit more arched, right here, that'll add that instant beauty. Beauty in a can, man. Okay, so let me show you the before and after. Before, after. The face before was convincing, but would they hire you to make this face on a card? Would they hire to make this face for the, I don't know, next League? I'm not a gamer. A next League of Legends spread or a book cover. They want you to have the necessary beauty knowledge. Okay? Okay, being? Human being. Okay, so what I'm just gonna do is just start separating the I'm sorry, what's it called? The further corners, the further quarters of the face. As you can tell, I'm getting really tired. Maybe I shouldn't have started early. No, that's not fair. Yeah, I'm gonna start losing my voice, so be warned. I lose my voice if I talk too long. Start cracking like puberty all over again. Trying to give it some edges here and contours. You know who I miss? I miss Nile and Enigma. I don't know where they've been. Too busy being awesome. Okay. These lashes that you have here being, if I see lashes again, I will put my hand through the screen and I'll slap you across the face. I'm sorry, I know that's mean. But you do not need lashes to make the eyes look beautiful. You are depending on them. This is your crutch. This is your mistake. You need to change that. Okay? I'm serious. I will. I will put my hand through the screen. I don't care if it's intense. It means that you'll learn and you'll never make this mistake again and you will benefit from it. Okay? You do not need lashes as much as you think you do. So just depend on the eyelids, depend on the eyeball, depend on, you know, the actual stuff, the actual form, instead of depending on the accessories. Would you be able to accessorize something that you don't have? No. If you have those air fresheners for a car and you don't have a car, why'd you buy them? You can put them in your room. But that's not what they're made for. Yeah, that one video. Or on the chandelier. Arabs. Okay. So depend on the actual formations and then put the accessories on later if you even want to anymore. Don't depend on the lashes to make the eyes look realistic. You are not an anime artist anymore. You're here because you want to improve. If you don't want to improve, you don't have to be here. I'm sorry if that's rude, but this is about how to improve in realism, which is a very, very hard frontier. Really, really hard to approach and to perfect. And you don't need all of these lashes here. Too many. I'm not going to try to paint over all of them for time's sake, but just from this, just from here, do you see the difference in the face? Do we a being? A bit of a shadow here. Excuse me. I hope it's not the kind of spring where it keeps turning on and off, and like the on and off button for winter is like glitchy, and we get like a storm in March. Oh my god, if we get a storm in March, I'm gonna get so mad. This has been the worst winter ever. My car is just completely ruined. I swear to God, I'm just gonna get the worst cold if I don't wear my jacket and then the next day it's cold, or if at night it's like -10 Celsius or whatever. Oh, I hope that doesn't happen. Scary thought. Okay, what I'm doing is just sculpting the nose around the contours you've already placed there, just blending a little bit. Oh, you know who else I miss? I miss Extreme. Where has she been? Extreme was the first person to do the 14-day challenge. She is a veteran with this. She improved so much over such a little amount of time, and she's a person who inspired the second person or the third or fourth, I forget. Many of them also were inspired by her. Really, really hard worker. She isn't with us because I think she took school. She told me she'd be out for a while. Okay. Over here and over here. And of course the brow bone, like I told you, gets a little bit of light in the arch, illuminating the eyebrows as well. And I'll show you the before and after so you can see. Before, after. Before. It's still a face. You know how to draw a face, period. You can say I can draw a face, but can you draw a beautiful face? I know that's really vain, but that's what's, you know what I mean. Oh, there's more 14 days. I might do those next time. I'm going to try to save some of these for next time. See that? This save. Oh, the thing texted Marilu. Clownfish. She's like, try to talk later. Okay. So I'm gonna throw these in here. I'm gonna try to see if I can get to them. Actually, no more portraits, or maybe a portrait. Really depends on time. There's a lot of time left. There's an hour left. Maybe I shouldn't have started early. But this one has been waiting for a critique for a while. This one is a bit difficult for me to critique because you have extreme amounts of contrast, and it might be effective, but to make it effective, what you have to do is make some very, very stylistic choices. Stylistic choices meaning you can darken the whole image and make only his beard the lightest part, even though that doesn't make sense style or light wise, because look at what happened when I push the shadows this way. Here, let me make everything proportionate first. So filter, liquefy. This part of the beard needs to be pushed this way because his chin is blocking the rest of the beard, and so that wouldn't be the same equal length as the other beard because they're coming from two different sides of the square. So before, after. Okay? And so what I recommend, I'm trying to recommend it in a way that doesn't destroy the image, is keep the same style that you're working with right now, but shade in a way where the beard basically, and maybe his character is known for his white hair and his Hulk Hogan beard. I'm sorry, I don't know any other title for that kind of beard. It's just become the Hulk Hogan beard. That's what his name is, right? Hulk Hogan? Yeah, the handlebar mustache. Okay. So what you need to do, his skeletal structure, out of all of that other stuff, is a bit baby-like. You need to really up the skeletal structure. Give him something a little bit menacing. Especially here, because you shaded so much light here. Why isn't the other side as well responding to that light? Because that cheekbone has got to be pretty big to catch that much light. And so this other side needs that much light as well. The nostril's a bit too flared. You need to give me more of a convincing nose structure, so maybe break his nose up. Give me that ragey nose that we all know and love. His nose, the line that stretches from your nostrils like a laugh line, that is way too high. The eyebrows are a bit too sort of asymmetrical. And what you can do is throw some hair that is flying out like that. And so just from before, after, we sort of have more of a, I mean, you can make it go back to that baby face old man, but to make the face a bit more intriguing, a bit more distinguished, I recommend this kind of change. And then I'm just going to get a textured brush because I can't use the soft brush for this or else it'll just destroy everything. So now I'm just going to start rendering it and creating a way where I can still keep the same image, still keep the same feeling, but just create the realistic equivalent. Okay, there needs to be a little bit of light here. The whole, it's really contrasted. I can't really just, it'll be destroyed if I go in and fix the contrast, and I don't want to destroy your image, but these are just ways to enhance your image. Another way to enhance it is to bring in a secondary light source, a color that will sort of respond to that rage. So obviously, cliche, I'm going to bring in the red. And then use it as a secondary light source on the other side. And what that will do is create nice drama. So soft light, throw that in there as a secondary light source. Flatten image, and then go to either soft light or hard light or whatever it ends up being, and place some of that light, that secondary light, on the edge of his face here, catching some of his eyes to move that, instead of using that just basic white, to really push that rage. Here, let me use which one is the best for this. God, that's annoying. Why do speakers do that? Oh. Also, when someone is enraged, they sort of have a very defocused look in their eyes. They have that zoned out look as well. And so what you can do with liquify, remember I told you to focus an eye, you make them look in the right direction or in the same direction, but to make him look more raged or more angry, make him sort of not know what he's doing, like in just utter madness. And what you can do is bring in some of that red here and just throw it over here, catching some of this light, and then bring in the other light and throw it over here to bring his eye to life. So this light, this eye gets a little bit of red, and then his eyes are just really enraged now. Someone's gonna get it. Is that Macbeth? Tales of Gleeman. And now I'm just, when you add in the colors of the, when you add in more details on this, on the hair here, try to add in some details that bring out the hair on the face. Obviously, hair still grows on the cheeks, and so what you can do is just, keep that, get some hair and draw some flyaways. Flyaway hairs. What that will do is create a furry look to his face, which will improve his mustache real. Remember, you're trying to prove everything. You're trying to prove this is real. How can you prove it's real? His eyelashes are also going to get some of that color. He's really angry, man. This guy's going to beat someone up. Why'd you cancel my WoW membership? Remember that one video of that guy whose membership got canceled and he put that comb in his ass? Why did he do that? That is so effed up. He's gay. You're so bad. I know, it's so trippy. So the way his eyebrows here are riding up, accent that, make it even more ridden up, make it seem like they're flared up just as much as his nostril is because of his temper. And get some pinks. It's okay. It's not ungirly or girly to use pinks. There's a level of pink here because some of that red isn't completely visible or completely reflective. And what now we have is what we have now is a real contrast between the reds and the other colors. So a contrast of color, and we have more form. Yay! You know that soundbite that they always use in YouTube videos? Yay! Well, now we have more form because of that red. And you might want to throw his tongue in there as well. Animalistic type of thing. Why'd you eat my cookie? You want to throw some of his upper teeth in there as well to give him some sort of menacing look. And then, not just that, dude, zoom out and you have to add in some light on the shoulder here, everywhere else. And, you know, just go wild. This is secondary light sourcing. This is rage. You want to increase the amount of saturation you have to complement that level. And then, because this is a light source, what happens is that a shadow will be cast. And because the light is coming from above and below, here there will be a shadow in the hair, a general shadow, this way. And the reflectiveness of the hair will be concentrated on one area to make his hair look shiny. Like that. Like it's trailing in the wind. Increase the light in his eyes. A bit too much contrast all around. Again, you might want to reconsider that, but it still works. It's drama. It's really cinematic, and it works to read as rage. So yeah, I recommend that. And of course, this blade is very reflective, and so what will happen is it will get also some of the red on the other side near the edge of the blade. Right over here to represent the blood that will be soon spilt. Dun 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 dun. I'm not funny. Flatten. What? My husband just gave me the finger. Not the actual finger. We have a little code. It's the ring finger because we're married. Not funny. Okay, so because his eyes are just as sharp, another little stylistic thing. You see how you have this glow? This glow will also be prevalent in the eyeball. I feel like I'm not precise enough if I don't zoom in. You'll develop it. You'll develop your confidence. So yes, that same glowy eye to represent how sharp his eye is. Have that complemented as well. Look at that sudden unification that we get between the glowing of this eye here and the glowing of this blade. It's almost sister glowings or sister light or whatever. When you have two lights that are acting exactly similar in the painting. And that will work to make it seem like, oh my god, this guy's gonna kill someone. Because the blade on his eye is the focus of where he's going, his direction, who he's gonna kill, is the same glow on his weapon. And you're like, oh my god, you're gonna relate it, and you're gonna say, oh my god, this guy's gonna kill someone. I'm tone deaf, so I don't know if you guys know what I'm singing. Okay. And then some more. The nose is a really reflective place. Right here. So don't destroy the red, but bring in a little bit more fiery, rage, fire type deal. His mustache. Okay. And that's pretty much how I would change it. So if you zoom out and zoom in, this area tends to be a bit empty. So you might want to just move the whole thing this way. And then elongate it this way. So now you have even more of a cinematic look. And now you have the space that he's going to be traveling in his attack. So that's also effective. The space he's going to travel in is just as important as the space he's occupying. We need negative and positive space. Yeah, you hearing me? I say, are you here? I'm sorry. See, I get really silly near the end of I'm a bit serious. I'm taking myself seriously in the beginning, trying to act all pro. And then later on, it starts to taper off into madness. Okay, so this area here is the source of the red light source, and so we need to have that same. I know, every time in Game of Thrones season, I just always end up humming it. Okay, so you see how effective now that we have this extra space here acts as a frame. I might even throw a little bit more on the top and continue that. Oh, shit. Over so that we have even more framing. Yay, framing. Remember, don't actually frame with frames. That's really, really cheesy. Frame with shadows. With points of interest. If you want to throw in some clouds, just throw in some clouds. No, it's yours. You can do this. I'm actually starting to wish this was my painting. Okay, throw in some flyaway hers. This painting is getting really nice. The power of complementary tones and light sources and all that hullabaloo. Do you see? The style was there. I didn't have to change the way you painted his face or anything like that. The contrast is a bit high, but again, I was working with that drama, and now what we have is something that is the hair, remember, it's about reflection and shadow. Hair also has reflections and shadows on it. That's the reason why some of you paint really stiff like hair, because you forget to paint the shadows. And hair is really, really reflective, like super reflective. That's what makes you miss out on all the coolness. And you see the shadow we have right here, this beautiful, sexy shadow? That is also prevalent in the mustache. Because this is the line of shadow right here between, this is the clash between the two light sources. We've got the red coming in from the east, and we've got the white coming in from the west. Weather forecast today, we're going to have a some more flyaway hairs here for the mustache. Some more flyaway hairs here. Okay. Save. So who's the person who painted this? Who painted this? Whose is it? And Dave? Okay. So you getting me, and Dave? Did you get all the choices I've made so far? You really need to start thinking about presentation. That's the key word. And if you want to take it that step further, ladies and gentlemen, please tune in next time on Dragon Ball. Sorry. I'm gonna get some flares, some light flares that I have here. I think this is a good one. It's a bit strong, but what I'm gonna do is present a little nice. Nope, that's cheesy. No, that's even cheesier. I have to get a nice long one. Right here. Not so much that it's cheesy, just enough that it shows the reflection of the light source. And I'm going to rotate it to be more like pew instead of pew. Decrease that. And what am I going to do next? I've also duplicated it before. I'm actually going to fix that ray a little bit. It's a bit stupid right now. But I'm going to do the same ray on the eyeball. However minimal, to unify the way the eye is maniacal, intense. And then sharpen this one here. And then erase so that there can be even more of a reflection. Not enough that it's cheesy, just enough to prove that it's reflecting something. And you know what's even cooler? You know, if you want to take it that next step, paint a guy like, no, it's not directed at him. Maybe he has another weapon that he's holding on the other side, which would be cool. But then it would fill this nice negative space here, but I don't know, it's your choice. You know, another dagger, and he's like holding it. And in this dagger, what you show is the reflection of the other guy. Going like, no, please. And then it'll be just your crowning achievement. And then it'll be just your like masterpiece, and you'll get hired and shit. Okay, so this is almost done. I'm just gonna saturate this light here. More red. Continue that clash of color. And that's it.